Well, happy Sunday, everybody. I'm glad to be with you all once again, and I'm hoping everyone is doing as well as could be on a Sunday where we're not, going to Mass or anything. Uh, Already 25 people here. That's pretty cool. So let's go and take a look at see what's going on in the world while we wait for people to roll in with questions and whatnot. And for some reason, my live chat is not working. Let's see who the participants are. I'm the only one. So I'm just going to say hello in the chat. It says unable to connect to the chat, so I'm going to have to go watch my own stream on my own channel incognito. Not like that. Look, there's even an ad on my video. That's great. Morning to everyone. Thank you, Healing, for liking this, for saying this is one of your favorite streams. In my state of Oklahoma, we've already been told that we're going to go back to Mass starting in 2 weeks from today. So, or actually, I think, it's 2 weeks from today that we'll have our first public Mass. So I'll be rescheduling these probably till a little later in the afternoon. Let's see. Thomas says hello from Chicago. Well, hello back. Hoping everyone is having a good day. Let's go check some headlines to see what's going on in the world. How many things can I talk about that without getting hammered? Let's see. Apparently, the Cardinal Sarah may get replaced at the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, or I don't think that's actually where he's at. His Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith. What is it? Which congregation is he in? Well, whatever his official job is, I'll have to check it later. It looks like he might get changed with a member of the Lavender Mafia, which is not terribly surprising. Looks like in Oklahoma, or in the state of Kentucky, the people who have been fighting for their right to worship have won their battles, which is, I think, a good thing, even if I wish they were part of our own faith, and that it was our bishops who were in that lawsuit against the governor and not, people who didn't even share our religious convictions. But you know how that sort of thing goes. Such is the way of the world right now, though. Susan Sufer says hi from France. Nick drinks, isn't it 2 p.m. in Oklahoma? It is 2 p.m. in Oklahoma, and it will be next week. It'll be 4 p.m. or not next week, but 2 weeks from now it'll be 4 p.m. in Oklahoma when I probably do this. Hewling is going to Mass today. Well, congratulations. Edward Carnes, what do I think of talks of people only having to wear a mask in church and receiving only in the hand? Well, it's against canon law for them to deny you receiving the communion on the tongue. So they can't force you to do that. I mean, the bishops are already issuing orders, but Tate Brown Vigno's not a cardinal; he's an archbishop, but he needs to name names. I think he already did that in his very first or in his second, in his first testimony he did. And tomorrow I've got a video on the Vigano Cardinal Sarah situation. So it's got everything in one place. Yes, Palestrina Choir. I'm definitely aware of that, and I was happy to see that. Too bad I wish it was our, more mainline people doing it, but we'll take what we can get at this point. Let's take a look through that window too, just to make sure. Yeah, I wonder what last couple of weeks I haven't been able to have my own sort of interface here, been able to see what's going on in the chat. That's sort of unfortunate. Here's a story I probably won't cover in a video this week because I've already got my first 3 videos either recorded or planned for the week. But Chicago-based Catholic group urges prayer vigils across the U.S. to reopen churches. This is the St. Charles Borromeo Society, according to LifeSite. They're now serving as a nationwide resource for American Catholics who are trying to get their churches in their own diocese opened up again, which, that should be everybody. Founded by Lisa Bergman and Joan Ann Scheidler of the Pro-Life Action League. Let's see. There were about 100 people at a prayer rally in front of St. Raymond's Cathedral in Joliet last Friday. There were also about 70 at Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago. And there was a police car parked in the corner the whole time watching us. They never got out of the car. Nothing more dangerous than a group of Catholics in prayer in public. It seems to be the running theme in our twisted, evil society. If you get a group of Catholics praying in public, law enforcement's going to show up. Oh, let's see. But yeah, they're urging people to do prayer vigils across the United States to get their churches reopened. They should definitely be parked in front of the state legislatures for where the states are the issue, and for the cathedrals, because in my state and some other states, people had the right to go back to churches on Sundays, but the bishops were the ones who were always holding back. The Protestants were going back, and other religions were going back to what they do, but for some reason, the Catholic Church was being much more cautious than everyone else, and it gets oh so tiresome to see that. Let's see. Is there a doctor in the house? It says healing. We're suggesting an experiment to test transmission rates. Hand versus tongue at a la Mythbusters blacklight fluorescent dye. I think Bishop Schneider had a letter about that I recorded and put up at the very beginning of this mess. So I would go back and look at one of my Schneider videos from early March and take a look to see what he said. And then go check my show notes for it. And yes, everyone, happy Mother's Day. It is a good day. Is it YouTube interference causing problems? It's probably they're being overloaded again, or there was some update that I just totally missed that I haven't installed yet. This is why I'm watching my chat through the in incognito, as if I'm just watching my own stream. Edwin Carnes, yeah, the monks near my house have already sent a letter asking for donations because they've been hurting. They've been have their shop open and they haven't had public masses said there in 8 weeks now. So if that's the case with the monks near me, it's probably the case with nearly every parish in the country. Thomas Keller, yeah, not you said not many in Denver have been reopened. That's the bishop. It's the bishops everywhere. Let's see. Flack says, greetings from Croatia. Well, hello to you too. Healing, am I Dr. Stine yet? No, I haven't defended my dissertation yet. We're trying to schedule that. Ran into a hiccup. Trying to get it worked out. The feeling canon now is this is an extended snowstorm response. I fear nothing has been learned of spiritual importance. Yeah, that's kind of YouTube notification report you keeps popping up. Weird. Yeah, I think that's normal. Like, report this stream if there's a problem. Well, I never say anything that gets. I try not to say things that get in trouble. People say things in the chat that'll get me in trouble, but I don't. Thanks, Colin, on the nice words about that chat or about that video. Buffalo, New York, just says they've been told don't plan on opening churches until mid-July. What? I'd start looking for alternative places to go to mass at that point. Like, this is wicked. I don't understand how people, how any bishops can say things like that and keep a straight face, honestly. Oh, let's go see what else is in the headlines. Schools, I guess. Let's see. New York slaps income tax on Christian volunteers that ran a field hospital. Yeah, if you hadn't heard about that, they didn't ask for any money to run their hospitals. And now they're getting hit with a tax because, of course, they are. Let's see. Cardinal Mueller has also said that no bishop has a right to ban public masses. LifeSite's reporting it. Regional is reported. No. Does anybody have any good plans for their Mother's Day? After I'm off the stream here, I'm going to go get dinner for my wife. The bishops are talking about reopening Mass by the end of the month, but may require wearing Mass and not on the communion on the tongue. They obviously either didn't read or didn't listen to Bishop Schneider's statement on how actually communion on the tongue is less dangerous for transmitting things than in the hand. Did you hear about the glorious ruling party of of the Middle Kingdom threatening Australia on their independent inquiry into the thing? No, but that doesn't surprise me. They're positioning themselves to replace the United States as the global power. That's what they're doing. And it will probably lead to a major, major conflict of some kind. Cuomo has said that you're still in lockdown until June 9th. In order to stop the current problem, we need to shut down churches till 2040. Modernist bishops. That's strangely accurate. Bishop Barnes will not open the churches unless the Riverside County and SoCal says so. There's your problem. They're relying on Caesar to tell them how to run their churches. Which site am I using to look at headlines? That last one I was looking at was LifeSite. Before that, I was on Canon 212. I like to use Canon 212 when I'm just looking for just on the fly things. Teresa Baker Carl says she thinks that if you talk to priests by email, you might find ways to go to mass under the table, so to speak. Yeah, you might be invited to assist at a mass if it's a Novus Ordo, or suddenly sing in a choir for a private mass or something, you know. Colin, I have no idea what Bishop Sticka says, because unless someone takes a screenshot and puts it on Twitter, I can't see it because he blocked me long ago. Paul's Wrath is going to go fishing. Do I think what we're going through is a chastisement of sorts from God? Yeah, I think this is the beginning of the fulfillment of Fatima. I think we're at the very beginning of it. I have a video on the third secret of Fatima later this week, so watch for it. It's already mostly done. Let's see. The FSSP parish here in Denver is having people sign up for masses online. Maybe doesn't people get to attend in person? Social distancing in between pews? That's ridiculous. Yeah, we'll be going back to mass in 2 weeks at our fraternity parish. And I'm waiting for the email that I expect to get any day now that'll show, like, instead of our 2 Sunday masses that are available, a low mass and a high mass, that will probably have 5 or 6 low masses available instead. That's what I'm expecting with, all the guidelines. It's going to be crazy. Total War Legendary went to mass and received communion on the tongue. I'm guessing you went to some sort of independent parish or an SSP chapel or something. Well, happy early birthday to you, Teresa. Why can't people understand dogma of no heaven unless Catholic now? Truth, what's important? That's because extra ecclesiam nullis salus has been attacked on all sides. In practice by the powers that be, and also from those who defended it by, attacking Feeney and others. Feeney had a problem where he couldn't express himself properly. He was a little overzealous, but at the end of the day, extra ecclesiam nullis salus should be taken pretty hardcore. What should you do during lockdown? Work on your prayer life at least a little bit. learn some prepping skills, probably. Why are priests afraid of heretic bishops? Because those bishops still have offices and can destroy their livelihoods. And there's only so many slots available in any of the various independent organizations for those priests to get reordained or ordained in. I wonder how our Blessed Mother is this Mother's Day. That's something to remember, is Our Lady on Mother's Day. How far does baptism of desire go again? I don't know. That's a good question. You say canonically they can't ban communion on the mouth. Our bishop has banned it. What can you do then? Remind them of canon law, and some people have already said they're not going to go to, they're not going to receive at masses until the bishops are permitted again that way. And Jacob, I do think you're right that at least some of them are going to be using this as an excuse to destroy communion on the tongue. Gabriel says, greetings from Puerto Rico. I hope all is well in Puerto Rico. Mass in Latin, see Vatican Live, worshiping Satan in Latin. I don't know what you mean. If you got an email, amused and Kali, let me know. Believe Blessed Anne Emmerich will become a saint, and have you read her Life of Jesus and Mary? I've not read her book. I've done some videos on Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. If she's canonized, I suspect it'll be after everything she predicted comes to pass, and then some. Edward, thank you for the kind words. Let's see. Total War Legend just went to a regular Diocese of Phoenix Parish. She watched the Mass on live stream and then went into the church to get communion after the live stream with Bishop Olmsted's blessing. That's one way to do it, I guess, yeah. I wish the more bishops had that system set up. I mean, I live a little far from a cathedral, but, you know. Yeah, although I may have to check out that Father Jenkins stream or video to see what he says. I haven't watched one in a while. Amused and Collie, be careful about anything you see about Mother Teresa. For some reason, she's a favorite target of the new Satanists. I mean, the new atheists. They absolutely love to attack her, usually twisting what she did and the things she said, not understanding Catholic doctrines about like suffering and things. So I would be careful. I would take anything that you see that attacks her or any other saint with a grain of salt. Yeah, Teresa, you're correct. There have been nothing but constant lies about her ever since she died. It's just so disgusting. I can't even imagine taking anything seriously that they say about her. Oh, let's take a look here. So, what does Cardinal Mueller say about no bishop having the right to ban public masses? The interviewer says to him that many of the faithful are suffering right now, and that it's an additional suffering, the prohibition of the mass, and even banning of funerals. They find it justified by the ecclesiastical hierarchy, though. To which that he says, this is very serious. It's the secularist thought which has made its way into the church. It's one thing to take precautionary measures to minimize the risks of the thing. It's another to ban the liturgy. The church is not a client of the state, and no bishop has the right to ban the Eucharist in this way. Moreover, we have witness priests being punished by their bishops for celebrating Mass for only a few persons. This means they conceive themselves as state officials, but our supreme pastor is Jesus Christ, not Giuseppe Conte or any other head of state. The state has its task, but the church has its own. There you go. So, Larry, he nails it right from the get-go in this interview. He says that, a lot of these bishops practically see themselves as clients of the state. And, well, when they get as much money as they do from the various governments to do their nonprofit work, usually with the new citizens or the new members of their society that are migrants, this is what happens. And, of course, there's a conflict here to reconcile our duty to the state and the need to publicly worship God, is what the interviewer says. And to that, the Cardinal Mueller says, we must also pray publicly because we know that everything depends on God. God is the universal cause. Then there is a secondary cause that goes through our freedom. We finite creatures do not know how much of what happens depends on the causality of God, and how much depends on ourselves. This is the point of prayer. We must pray to God to overcome the challenges of our personal and social life, but without forgetting the transcendental dimension, that vision of eternal life and intimate union with God and with Jesus Christ, even in our suffering. We're called to load our crosses on our shoulders every day, but we must also explain their suffering to the faithful according to gospel criteria. Banning participation in the liturgy goes in the opposite direction. Taking certain external measures is the task of the state. Our task is to defend the freedom and independence of the church, and the church's superiority in the spiritual dimension. We are not an agency subordinated to the state. Man, I wish the bishops would actually pay attention to these things, that would more of our bishops actually thought like him. So crazy. What are my ideas? Paul asks what my ideas for reaching out to a bishop as he plans to reach out to mine for opening up sacraments. Well, see, the problem is in my state, the confession's been available this whole time, as have some of the other sacraments. It's just you weren't able to receive communion, and now and we've already got our plan open to reopen everything in our state. So, but then again, that's because I think I'm blessed to live in a state where we're being governed by more sane secular authorities than a lot of people are. Let's see. New Satanist, new atheist, modernist, same difference, pretty much. Insane amounts of money, and now 3/4 of U.S. Catholic parishes got. Yeah, that a lot of that federal money, that's going to be so corrupting. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we have so much problems now, is that so much of our governments have way too much influence through the best means of gaining influence, which is through finances. Teresa, that's a really good idea. The other way you can do it is to have masses said for the repose of the souls of people. You can have, make an offering for the repose of the soul, for a mass to be said for the repose of the soul of people, and that money goes to the priest. That's another way you can support your parish. the old church actually subjected the state to its rule, but since Vatican II, we have thrown out that notion of trash. I mean, the Pope crowned kings. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem we had way before Vatican II, right? I mean, you had the secular revolutions around the world that put the church, that separated church and state. I mean, the last hurrah, I think, was the production code in the United States, where lay organizations of Catholics put enough pressure on the church to keep, or on Hollywood to keep degeneracy off the big screen. That was our sort of last hurrah, I suspect. We couldn't even stop the legalization of Moloch worship in 1973. I mean, you can do the let's see, Sinsterisa says, is there a way to confess to God if you can't go to church right now? You can make that act of reparation with the full intention of going to confession the first opportunity you get. But if you're really in dire need, I would actually just maybe send an email to a priest and find out if there's one who'll hear your confession. And don't be too picky about the kind of priest. As long as they're validly ordained, who cares? Ted Kelly, a while back here in Lincoln, Nebraska, you had to install communion rails because you caught devil worshippers trying to walk out with a sacred host. Wow. That's not surprising. I mean, it's surprising that it's in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is sort of like trad central in the United States. But this is one of the problems with communion in the hand. It made it a lot easier for the Satanists to get their hands on the consecrated Eucharist. Dr. Who says, the League of Decency. It's the Legion of Decency, I think. It was mostly a Catholic organization that opposed Hollywood, kept nudity off the big screen from the 1930s until 1965. Jeep Guy, no, I haven't read Christus Vincit yet. It's on my list to read. All of my reading lately has been either things you're hearing me put up online or for my dissertation. And I need to get and one other thing of reading I was doing, but that was for something else that I'll probably have on a stream here in the near future. But I need to take this opportunity before my defense to actually get some reading done just for my own sanity. Antiquus Ordinus was wondering if I had any Sedevacantist churches on my side of the state. There are a few, actually. I think there's some near Edmond, north of Oklahoma City. I've never been. I've never bothered to look to see where they are. I was surprised at the number of Sedevacantist chapels in Oklahoma, though. There's a fair number of them. Thomas Keller says a priest can't refuse to hear a confession. Yeah, they do it in practice, though. It seems to be different. Google account. Okay, yeah, I have about 100 emails in my inbox again, so I need to go through them. And because I do want to do another Lucis Trust video. I'll do one on... once I ordered the book that initially outed them. By the way, one of my favorite comments I saw about that was somebody saying that they looked on their Facebook page and saw no admission of Satanisms, which I'm like, you're expecting that on their Facebook page? Come on. Yeah, Raymond, it is very startling. I mean, it's, when you've got people who push, Marxism, soft forms of Marxism and population control and attack the church. I mean, after a while, you start to put it all together, and and then when you see it, verified into your face, it's just amazing. Yeah, Truth, what's important, your comment about the SSPX, all I'll say is this is why I don't buy the... I know for a fact they're not in schism, so that's why I think it's just absolutely just absurd what people say. Jeep Guy, do I have it? Yes, I have Christus Vincit. It's just I haven't had a chance to read it. If I really think about it, modernism and the church created the Hollywood propaganda machine that infected the world. I think what it did, I don't think it created it, but I think it did, get out of the way of it. Like, they'd been, like, if you go back to, like, early Hollywood, late 19th, early 20th century, they had some pretty gross stuff on the screen even at that time. And it was just once the church got discouraged in the late 60s, we just, got out of the way. Edward Carnes tells people that if they're in a rural area, you might get lucky and call a local priest to get to one of his private masses. He's been able to do that. Captain Birdseye, yeah, I have this distinct feeling watching all this stuff with the Middle Kingdom and its activity unfold that we're headed towards conflict, and it's going to get really bad. And I'm kind of glad I live, 45 minutes away from a major city right now. Teresa Baker Carl, devil worshippers and part of problem. Marquette, Michigan Bishop Sample caught witches taking the Eucharist. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. At all. Like, I mean, I was quite happy when he was made the Archbishop of Portland back when I lived there, but it doesn't surprise me. This is what, at the very most basic level, that's why you should oppose communion in the hand, stop receiving in the hand, to just fight the wickedness. If we can get that practice gone, at the very least, we'll be able to protect the Eucharist from devil worshippers who steal the Eucharist all the time now. The Hellfire Club is interesting to look into with Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, sort of as a historical organization. Thomas Hamilton, I have no idea. You'd have to ask a theologian. All I know is what they do with it is absolutely demonic, and that's sort of the point. Thomas Keller, the Satanist. Well, at least the Satanist, he may have deliberately dropped that host, but at least he didn't walk out the door with it. And yes, the priest ate it, which is one of the two appropriate things to do with it. You want to see the LifeSite article about Pope Benedict retaining the spiritual aspect of the papacy? Anyone sign the Vigano petition? Yeah, I didn't sign the Vigano petition, but I've got my video on the Vigano petition tomorrow. Total War Legendary. I agree about the Lois Olmeyer thing. That's why I did a second video on it. It is very strange to watch this unfold in real time. Yeah, I don't know much, Mr. Joy, about Theosophy. If you want to send me a link to your channel later, feel free. I'll check it out. Pascal Leclerc. Should one invest in reading The Mystical City of God by Mary Jesus of Agreda? It's like 2,000 pages. Would be interested in feedback. Pascal, I said, I haven't read it, so if anybody's read that, let us know in the chat. Mother Teresa said that the biggest enemy of peace was communion in the hand. It wouldn't surprise me. Cardinal Sarah said something similar. Let's see. Gallup, New Mexico is bug central, apparently, according to Google account. Church of a company became a church of abandonment. Oof. Well, thank you, Monty. I'm glad you managed to catch the stream today. Has there ever been a time when Rome was closed voluntarily? Yeah, to a degree, I'd say so. I would say, probably during, times where they thought they might be under siege or something. Anybody else hear about a campaign on May 13th to make the Virgin Mary smile? If you want to make the Virgin Mary smile, do acts of reparation. How can we get a hard copy of the letter which was covered by LifeSite? Which letter do you mean? Byron, which letter are you talking about? Oh, excuse me. My weekends always make me a little tired. Just read the Atlantic article. It's all psychological training on how to influence others from what was said in the thing. Yeah, that's why I posted that on the community page of the channel. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, go open a new window by the community page of my channel. You'll see my recent post. Yeah, Teresa Baker, that's true. They changed it. I called it the Lucifer Trust because people would watch it, but they call themselves the Lucis Trust now. But come on, they're not hiding anybody. On Our Lady of Fatima, Comet Swan is closest to Earth, May 13th. Oh, that's encouraging. James Cardellini, the separation of church and state in the United States has always been a fluid concept anyway. What's the deal with airline food? It's always bad. Let's go back to that thing I was reading. Oh, that's why I call these lazy streams. Cardinal Bueller was asked that there are many bishops, including priests, and bishops, that are realizing there's a strong risk of misunderstanding the meaning of the liturgy because of the proliferation of masses on TV and streaming. So, for those of you who are curious about what some of the better bishops think about about streaming masses, here we go. According to Cardinal Mueller, quote, "These forms cannot be considered a replacement of the Mass. Of course, if you are in prison or in a concentration camp or other exceptional circumstances, you can participate spiritually in the Eucharist, but it is not a normal situation. God created us body and soul. God accompanied his people throughout history. He freed them from the slavery in Egypt. He did not perform a virtual liberation. Jesus, Son of God, became flesh. We believe in the resurrection of the flesh. This is why physical presence is absolutely necessary for us. For us, not for God. God does not need the sacraments. We need them. God instituted the sacraments for us. Marriage does not work only spiritually. There is a need for the union of body and soul. We are not Platonic idealists. We cannot follow Mass from home in particular circumstances. No, we must go to church, meet with others, communicate the Word of God. The whole vocabulary of the Church also indicates this need. Holy Communion. Communion is to convene. The Church is the people of God summoned together. The Psalm says, "How good and beautiful it is that brothers live together." To which the interviewer says that there are some theologians and even bishops who say that the Eucharist is overrated. Lord have mercy on those people. And that they say that Mass is not necessary. To which Mueller says, there is also a bishop such as Victor Fernandez, who prides himself on being Pope Francis's ghostwriter, who claims that the duty to go to Mass on Sunday is a commandment that was introduced by the Church. It is another example of disastrous theological formation. The third commandment has its foundation in divine law. It obliges the Jews to sanctify the day of the Lord. For us Christians, it is the day of the resurrection. It is also a commandment Jesus gave us. Do this in memory of me. St. Paul says, quote, "Every time you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the death of the Lord." This is the real and sacramental representation of the saving death of Jesus and of his resurrection. In the Mass, we participate in the Paschal mystery. The Second Vatican Council made this clear in Sacrosanctum Concilium and Lumen Gentium. Yet there are bishops who say that some faithful are too attached to the Eucharist. It's absurd. The Eucharist is the only true adoration of God through Jesus Christ. It is not one of the many forms of the liturgy. It's that all the forms of the liturgy have the reason for their existence in the Eucharist. Everything receives strength and consistency from the Eucharist. Imagine having to be in a position where you have to teach basic catechesis to your own brother bishops. I can't even imagine. It's just so blackpilling. And now I'm... I don't know what's going on, guys. Getting disconnected, though. Just some of the worst lagging I've ever seen. I'll have to probably upgrade my internet here soon. Can anybody hear me? I would say let me know in the chat, but I don't have any chat. Let's see. According to this, the stream is going on.
Hey, I don't know if...
Yeah, I don't know why I keep cutting out, but I'm back, it looks like. Yeah, again, I can only see it if I can get even like the incognito window open up, and I was only able to reopen. Oof, 101. I never played World of Warcraft, but I understand the sentiment. I had friends who did. Back during its Mel says don't fall asleep. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've just been tired. Oh, excuse me. Ted Kelly says that Project Veritas is going to drop a tick. I don't know if people know this, but Project Veritas is run by a Catholic. Hence the name, Project Truth. The 501c3 is evil. The church is now controlled by the state because of it. Yeah, there's a side project I'm working on that we were faced with a choice of a 501c3 or LLC, and we decided to go LLC because of that. As part of one of the reasons. Gremlin's trying to disrupt good discussion. I think the current term used on the internet now is tractors, but I'm not sure. Bet it was Jimmy Martin sabotage. St. Petersburg, Florida. Old lady hearing you loud and clear. 3:36 Sunday. I've never lost you in the last, say, 10 minutes. Well, good, Christina Williams. Glad that you're joined. That I managed to stay with you here. Truth, what's important, says America, Canada have been belong to Mary now. This is true. LLC is better. It is better. It's more transparent, and if the organization actually makes a little bit, is permitted to make a profit, and if you make a profit, no one complains because it's an LLC, not a nonprofit. Or if they complain, it's because of the kind of thing you're making a profit off of. It's not because of the kind of organization you are. Let's see. Three Count Cedar says the mass that you live streamed this morning from Italy washed out right after the consecration with constant buffering. Yeah, I need to I think we're in a time now where you really need to make sure you have some of the best internet connection available. Like I need to upgrade. I need to switch from like the sort of the garbage tier provider in my town to the to like Cox or somebody like that. Thank you, Teresa, for watching every day. I do appreciate it. CF Healing, yeah, that's my one area that I don't really agree with Dr. Jones on, is that he seems much more friendly to the Second Vatican Council than I am. I tend to be pretty radical about it, actually, but Damon, no, they cannot do confession via cell phone. So you have to be in person. Sean endorses Mary of Agreda. Truth, what's important, says Franciscan monks taught in Kentucky at a youth conference that you were at that all religious people go to heaven as long as they believe their false religions. Even your dad believes that. Oh, you need to pray for their conversion then. That's universalism. That's the heresy of universalism. Optimistic one, LLC is better. Is it true charity to give expecting to receive back off taxes from the empire? That's a good question. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to, claim it on your taxes either. Have I read Kempis' Imitation of Christ? Yeah, I have it on my shelf. I haven't read it fully, but I have it, and I've read a good portion of it. Thank you, Yoda Coin. Thank you for checking in. Pascal says he's never heard EMJ's take on the council. Doesn't venture into religion very much. It would be interesting to find out. He doesn't take the council as bad thing per se. I think he takes it more as it was taken over sort of thing, but or badly, badly put into effect. Look up HR quadruple 6. Yeah, I've definitely seen that already. Teresa Baker Carl is reading The Imitation of Christ now, which is good. Valentinus is the one person who likes my good news videos. Gonna do a show on the two witnesses some future point. What do you mean by the two witnesses? Give me more information. Send me an email if you want to give me some more like the chat's sometimes not the best place for like just a quick thing. If you mean like Enoch and Elijah and their return, maybe, yeah. The Protestants on the street are doing a parking lot, whatever they call their best. They call it a service, like what you do with your car when you need to get it fixed. Thoughts on Sam Harris? I never watched him. I don't really like The New Atheist. The only one I ever thought was that even remotely accurate was probably the most hard to listen to one, which was Christopher Hitchens, not because I agreed with him on religion, but because he was not wrong about a lot of other things. And he was like their first pope, basically, of their religion. Rose DeBash, it's ironic that Catholic actually means universal. Yeah, it is. That's why the doctrines of universalism that the world promotes as an acceptable form of religion is false. Thank you, Colin. That's part of the point of me doing the short form videos is I don't have time to sort of just sort of meander my way through it. I just have to get to the point to keep it at 15 minutes or less. Thomas Keller, EMJ is soft in Vatican II. He tried to get the SSPX to capitulate to the Vatican. Yeah, I mean, the SSPX has stood up to all various groups attacking them. I mean, if they survive bishops, they'll survive any layman. Thank you, Jerry. I'm glad you like it. Truth Was Important says, if you guys go to high school openly preaching, if you have a job, buy Bibles. When school starts, I will say my junior year, tons of people want truth. No one wants to be a nihilist. If any of you are in college or in high school or college, those are words to remember. And if you go, finding yourself in a position where you have to go to college, look to see if there's a Newman Center or something like it on your campus, or if there's some sort of Catholic campus ministry. Even like bad ones typically can be better than, nothing at all. Though the really bad ones, you might want to go find like just something based out of a parish someplace nearby instead. What do you say about having to wear a face mask in order to be allowed in your parish church? I'm not facing that myself, I don't think, so I don't know. But I think that that sounds like nonsense to me. Have I made a video on Father Michel Rodriguez, Illumination of Conscience? No, because I've seen articles outlining apparently heresies that he's endorsed. That's why I haven't touched him. And that's why I'm not going to comment further on him. Sam Hyde is better than Sam Harris. I generally agree, as long as you can handle edgy humor. Healing says he was listening to a show EMJ was on a super chat, tried to ask about his views on the council. He just chuckled. Yeah, he already knows that that a lot of the people who like him are probably much more down the trad rabbit hole than he is. Robinson Crusoe, thank you for spending your Sunday with me. Thanks. My father, familiar with Father Phil Wolf, FSP. He was forbidden from public internet sermons and missions almost 3 years ago. Have I heard anything on his current status? I have not heard anything on his current status. There are people that I know who apparently kind of I'm like 2 or 3 degrees of separation from him. So if I can remember who the people I talked to that know of him, I could maybe find out. But even then, I would probably be discouraged to talk about it publicly. He is one of my favorite priests to hear on Sensus Fidelium. And if you ever want to get red-pilled on the aliens and UFO thing, they have if you go to Sensus Fidelium's channel, then use the small search bar, the channel search bar, not the big search bar that's above the screen, but there's a smaller one, and then do on the Sensus Fidelium channel, do a St. Michael there, do a search for I think it's St. Michael aliens UFO, and you'll eventually find this old homily of, pretty sure it's Father Wolf, talking about how the aliens are really demons. Paul Peterson, I am highly blessed to have Mass in 2 weeks. I am extremely blessed beyond my capacity to reason and understand to have Mass in 2 weeks. I fully understand this. Thomas Klug says, don't think that getting something back off your taxes hurts your charity by giving. You have an accounting degree and God never made any distinction. Yeah. I mean, besides, you don't get the money back till usually pretty far later anyway, so I don't think there's any real problem with it. Mustard Seed, tomorrow I have my video on Vegano, so go check that out when it comes out. My channel members I gave early access to, because I sort of forgot to give my channel members access to my weekend videos early like I give my patrons. So, oops. Because I gave them my access to tomorrow's video early, because I always have to record videos early to get them through the algorithm of our glorious hosts. Have I put out a video on Malachi Martin? If so, you'll check it out. Yes, I have. I have 2 of them. I have my Truth About Malachi Martin one, which some people got mad at me for because I basically said I don't believe almost any of the accusations against him. And I have a more moderate take on that now slightly, which is that because he said, I saw something later, he said when he was writing his book on exorcism, that he went into it with a liberal Jesuit mindset. He came out of it radically, like that he was radicalized by the experience because he wanted to debunk exorcisms. And instead he wrote the most frightening book on it, one of the most frightening books on exorcisms written in the last 50 years. But I've got 2 of them, The Truth About Malachi Martin and then The State of the Church According to Malachi Martin. Do I think we'd have better luck getting real Eucharist with Catholic Eastern rites? What about Eastern Orthodoxy in general? The law of the Church about going to filling your Sunday obligation with the Eastern Orthodox is only if you don't have access to a Catholic Mass, and I don't mean like your bishop has given you you close the Mass. I mean like if you're in some place where there isn't a Catholic church anyway, it's pretty hard to find to get that dispensation, and I think most of the Orthodox churches are closed anyway. Getting the Eucharist with the Catholic Eastern rites, mate, right now, given how things are, maybe. I don't know where you are, but the Byzantines, I think, are probably the most widely represented in the United States with the Eastern rites. In my area, there's a Syro-Malabar rite, and the Maronites are here. I think there's one more, but I haven't been to a Divine Liturgy of the East of any variety in a few years. Thank you, Damon. Have a wonderful Sunday yourself. Ever watch Mr. Meta? Yeah. Did I ever watch? Yeah, I have watched him. I can't say I don't want to say his name on here, but yes, I have watched him. I do find he's a little edgier than most people here are going to like, but I have watched some of it. Did I ever watch his? I don't know what you're saying there, Colt Stream. I don't think so. If you want to email me a link, my email's in the description of every single video. Send me an email with a link to one of them. Emmerich's Life of Jesus is a must-read. So detailed it's mind-boggling. PDF is online. Highlander says, so after the 3 days of darkness, what will happen? Who knows? It's going to be, most of the mystics say you're going to walk around and just see fields of corpses everywhere. The vast majority of people won't survive it. After that, it's going to be, months of surviving until what's left of people organize themselves into some sort of society and the church reestablishes itself. Let's see. Thomas Cluggett, pay enough to Caesar as is. Yeah, it's amazing. In the United States, our ancestors revolted against the crown over the equivalent of a 1% tax. And Paulus Magnus says he thinks that some of what passes for UFOs are also military technologies that are not public knowledge. You have seen budget for anti-grav research in the 50s, and then the next year it's not there. Yeah, either they killed the budget line for it, or they just moved it somewhere else. But, I mean, I've seen footage from Area 51 and things doing just remarkable maneuvers that just seem like no human-piloted vehicle could do it. But now that we have drone technology, I'm wondering if we were just seeing early drones, which is probably what they were. Thomas Hamilton says he knows that Eastern Orthodox churches have been communing with Rome for ages. Yeah, about 5 centuries, but it wouldn't be better Eastern Orthodox than the pagan communion modernist Catholics. No, do not join the schismatics. You'd be better off finding a traditional priestly fraternity than joining those schismatic groups. There's no salvation outside the Catholic Church, and it includes with Eastern Orthodoxy. I hate to tell you this. Clayton, you're forgiven. The Beacon video was very interesting. Well, thank you. See if healing. I don't have a bunch of women coming to mass in the yoga pants. Definitely, that's not happening. If they're wearing yoga pants, we can't see them over their traditional outfits. That happened at the Nova Sordo Parish I was at, though. Oh, what's this? Thank you for the super chat, Rebecca, and for the sticker. Malachi Martin is buried with his alleged girlfriend. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true. I mean, I know there's a picture of a grave with another person there, but I don't tolerate the character assassinations on Malachi Martin. Robinson Crusoe, you attend a Maronite parish, they give communion by intinction of communion in the hand. That is one way to cure the communion in the hand in the Novus Ordo. It would be to impose an intinction, which if you don't know what intinction is, they take the host, dip it in the wine, and then they place it on your tongue. It doesn't touch your hands. Colin, yeah, that's the one book that's one of his books I haven't read. Is Hostage the Devil. I haven't read that one. And Thomas Keller endorses the interviews. I prefer the Jansen ones to the Art Bell ones. Paulus Magnus, that was Malachi Martin. When he asked about what did we say about exorcism being frightened again? Who was it that went to investigate exorcism and ended up being frightened? That was Malachi Martin. He went in, by his own admission, apparently as a very liberal Jesuit and came out radicalized by the experience. I heard about Bill House Resolution Quadruple 6 that allowed the government to contact. Yeah, I have that, but I have heard about that, but I'd actually want to go read the House bill before that. Highlander says Revelation. Do not read a KJV. Anybody here in the chat saying read a KJV, just leave. There's no KJV. The KJV is a heretical translation. Just this is not a Protestant channel. If you want to read a traditional, accurate translation, go read a Knox translation or a Dewey Rames, but don't read a KJV. Give me a break. Cardinal Mann was buried with someone too. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Saw a video on a UFO. A video was advertised, explained it, but it was taken down before it played. Well, not really into it. Yeah, I used to be into that stuff, but then I realized that we're not that the narrative isn't right. Let's see. Steve Henning, yeah, something, any Bible you read should be based off the Latin Vulgate. I haven't actually seen Hostage to the Devil, the documentary. I heard mixed things about it. I do not endorse the Book of Truth. I don't know why people keep pushing that. It's such a bizarre thing. Anything you look at, any current thing going on, just stay arm's length from it and look for heresies in it. You'll almost always find them. Malachi Martin was not laicized. He was secularized. There is a difference. He was an independent priest, he had a bishop he reported to in Rome. He admitted as much in his interviews. I go into this in that video I did on this. He was not laicized. This is a common myth. He used the term laicized when he was in one interview with Art Bell, but the way he described it is secularized. Doctor Who is correct. He was released from some vows, but not from the vow of chastity and celibacy. He had to actually, work for his own living. See a feeling, what is the difference between Knox and Challoner notes? I think the Knox is a little easier to read. I haven't really read my companion book that came with my Knox translation. That was based on it was all English. It did a little pamphlet called Englishing the Bible. Maybe I should record it and put it up, but it'd be a weird thing. Caroline Book of Truth is fake. Dano, thank you for the Canuck bucks. Wife is joining the church next week. Nice, congratulations, and welcome her to the church. And entering the church is a beautiful experience. Maybe I'll check out the Hostage of the Devil documentary. Is it on any of the major streaming networks? We don't pay for Netflix, but we have access. We don't pay for it because I don't give those people my money. I have an Amazon Prime just so I don't have to pay shipping, so I can't do that. Could I do full videos sometime on biblical translations and acceptable versions? I usually just direct people to those because I'm not a theologian. I recommend the New American Bible series on the Ascent of Mount Carmel channel because he just does a wonderful job of showing what's wrong. Read Characters of the Inquisition by Thomas Walsh. Do I think 3 Days of Darkness are near? I think we're heading towards them, but I don't know how soon. Serious question, was wrong with the KJV. There are things in that translation that are designed to undermine Catholic theology. You go look for things go look for the most Catholic parts of the Bible, the things that we usually cite, and start looking to see what they say. Besides the fact what Doctor Who 1980 says, which is that it's Protestants missing books. Do not read Protestant translations of the Bible. Do you know what Pope St. Pius X said to do with Protestant Bibles? He said to burn them or give them to a priest who will burn them for you. That's what he said to do with them. Don't read them. Nazi scientists were into the occult. There's a YouTube video. Yep, they were. Colin McMenamin, that is correct. I've heard that talk too. That Father Ripperger said what I believe one of the priests on Sensus Fidelium said, that they're seeing demons. If I ever noticed that Martin's esoteric books were published by big New York publishers, was this some? I don't buy the conspiracy theories about Malachi Martin. There's no. I don't know how anybody can buy the conspiracy theories about a guy who showed up on Art Bell's show. Come on. If anything, that undermines the whatever it was that his handlers were allegedly trying to do, given that Art Bell was not someone. Anyone know of a good Hebrew edition of the Catholic Bible? If anybody wants to give Valentinus a good recommendation for a Hebrew edition. Thomas Hamilton says the Book of Truth is about as fake religious texts like the Book of, and I'm not going to name the books because that might get me in trouble. Doctor Who 1980 NAB is like that 1970s sort of Dutch catechism. So I knew some theologians who had a mandatum from the bishop at the Catholic university I worked at for a while, and they had so many problems with the NAB it wasn't even funny. They really wanted the bishops to consider getting rid of the NAB. Amazon Prime, Anthony, you think 3,000? Colin McMahon, okay, I may have to go check that out. If it's only $4, it's probably not a problem. Ooh, iron process. You use the NIV. Ooh, the NIV. Colin McMahon, thank you for the super chat. Is appreciated. Yeah, Thomas Kelly, that is not the other problem with Malik, with him is that he pushes the stuff about that. People don't realize that the KGB was commissioned by a secular English monarch who was a pervert. Prots now acknowledge this, but now claim its perfection is due to the Holy Spirit. Yeah, imagine thinking that. What are my thoughts on Zoltanus found waiting to use quantum archaeology to resurrect Christ, the type of biological 3D printing? Probably using DNA taken from the shroud. I did not. Test. Okay, I'm back. Hooray. All it took to fix it was for me to unplug my mic and plug it back in. Have I heard that the guy in Russia is Christian? I've heard that, but I also don't believe anything having to do with that country. Yeah, my audio is back, so at least it should be. According to Streamlabs, it's back. So, let's go back to my happy little... So in recent months, the interviewer asks Cardinal Mueller, we heard Episcopal leaders often say that the first duty is to safeguard health. Cardinal Mueller, he drops a bomb on this guy saying this. He says, this is bourgeois, secularized church, not a church that lives on the word of Jesus Christ. Jesus said, seek the kingdom of God first. What is life, all the goods of the world, including health, worth if you lose your soul? This crisis has shown that many of our pastors think like the world. They conceive themselves more as officials of a social religious system than as pastors of a church that is in intimate communion with God and with everyone. We must always combine faith and reason. Obviously, we're not fideists. We are not like those Christian sects that say we do not need medicine, that we entrust ourselves only to God. Instead, entrusting oneself to God does not contradict the valorization of all that modern medicine offers. But modern medicine does not replace prayer. They are two dimensions that should not be separated, but not superimposed. To which the interviewer says, it has been said by some as a way of justifying the suspension of public masses, that if we transmit it to others, that we are responsible for their eventual death. Mueller responds, doctors also run this risk. There is a risk in every human activity. It is certain that we must be careful not to endanger the lives and health of others, but this is not the supreme value. Unfortunately, the situation has shown us that many priests and bishops of good quality lack the theological basis for reflecting on this situation and offering a judgment consistent with the gospel and the doctrine of the church. Where's the lie, as they say, because at the end of the day, he's not wrong. Now, Laura says, I'm the boss of Catholic Twitter. Thank you very much. I try not to cause fights on Catholic Twitter, but, I will sometimes be a little edgy. Doctor Who 1980, I mean, the Russians are fine with icons of our sorrowful mothers, so let's hope they convert. They will convert. It is prophesied that they will come into full communion with the church. Thomas Hamilton, sadly, a lot of churches are mere earthly shells of the supernatural faith, only focus on the earthly as if they deny the supernatural and suppressing the supernatural truth. The church is in both. This is true. In Sid Roth's world, everything is naturally supernatural. See a fueling excuse. Let's see. What's my thoughts on the previous popes not executing Our Lady's words on the consecration of Russia? I often wonder why they didn't carry it out to the full. I kind of go into that on my Fatima video I'm doing for later in the week, although I don't really mention this, but my theory is based. I sort of accept the Pope's as prisoner theory, and that reasoning is based off of something that not only that Malachi Martin said, but that Father Gruner and John Venari of Catholic Family News said. May they rest in peace. They had a meeting with Benedict XVI in the mid 2000s, and they asked him in their private meeting with him why he didn't do anything about the lavender types in the church, and he pointed to his office door and said that's where his authority ends. And that there have been a lot of times where people would try to, send messages in writing to the Pope to let him know, about things going on, and those messages will never get through because things get filtered. Putin participates in public expressions of Russian Orthodoxy. EMJ still thinks he won the debate with Davies on the SS. No one knows with hindsight thinks that. Michael Davies is, if people are not familiar with Michael Davies' work, I've done a couple of his essays. I really should put him into my regular schedule, but some of his essays are actually pretty hard to find online. But yeah, I watched that. So Our Lady said there will be events on the 13th, 21st, 25th of May. Where did she say that? And don't tell me Bayside, because I don't believe Bayside for a second. And don't tell me Medjugorje, because that's obviously fake too. So don't give me that. Kimberly Ivanov, I have that tomorrow in my video. See me tomorrow. Every single day, let's see, Patricia Cancelli, every member of the channel says every single day, but guess there aren't enough at David Myers. Pray for his conversion. Oh, yes. Pray for the conversion of our leaders, and including secular leaders. Why does my icon look like the man in black? That's Hilaire Belloc. Thomas Ryan, to Bayside is your favorite fake apparition. I literally got something in the mail from somebody about Bayside the other day. It was just, the messages of Bayside with, something that was touched to some shrine there. And, honestly, the bishops there were so against Bayside that I think they automatically excommunicated anybody who continued to participate in the Bayside stuff after they put their interdict on the place. Paulus Magnus, do I think that the fall of communism was orchestrated, as people like Bukowski would all say? It wouldn't surprise me at this point, honestly. It really wouldn't surprise me. Things are just going too conveniently now in that way. Secular right-wing YouTube back in 2016, 2017 was really on the cultural Marxism train. Go back and watch some of those videos. Go back and watch some of that and ask yourself if that's not what we're living through now. What am I doing for May 13th Fatima anniversary? I have a video going live about the forgotten message of Fatima. It involves some of the 5 for Saturdays, but watch it till the end because there's a part of the Fatima message that everybody forgets. Bayside sounds like an apparition from the beach. Yeah, pretty much. Let's see. Where do I think the church should reach out to Orthodox and Protestant denominations to work together on key issues? Where should we draw the line? We should absolutely work together as Christians across that division when it comes to ending the ritual sacrifice of the innocent to the false gods of our culture. But there's going to be some, disagreements. They're not, most of these other groups aren't going to see Wall Street necessarily as a false god either. Want a real loony visionary to visit your parish, give John Leary a call. Call McMenamin, if the election goes the other way, do I think that we're in trouble as Americans? Yeah, I'm not someone who takes and puts, the current president on a pedestal or anything, but it's clear that the other side has lost its mind, utterly crazy. Just go look at some of the worst things being done in the courts right now. They all have one party in common. Vatican should try working on unity with other Christian groups. Where do we draw the line? I think they go too far with it this time. I'm not wild about the interfaith dialogue stuff. I think that was actually probably one of my favorite little humorous scenes in The Young Pope was when Pius XIII met with the one of the ecumenical patriarchs of the East, and it was just an awkwardly silent meeting that they had. cool on the 20th wedding anniversary. What time is it at, Anthony? What are you referring to? The whole Yuri Bezmenov video talks of subverting the U.S. and the Western world, but one could argue that this is historic. We know as well. Early Russian revolutionaries are funded. Where liberation theology comes from? Most of that came from the early, like it was appearing in South America at the same time that Bella Dodd was working in the United States. That's not a coincidence. Stalin and company weren't subverting only the United States and the Western powers. They were spreading their errors everywhere using different methods. Do I think something internal is possible in the States in the next decade? Possibly. I don't know. Would I welcome a meeting between Francis and Pope Michael? Well, as humorous as I think Pope Michael is, I don't like it's making fun. I don't even like making fun of the guy because there's obviously something wrong with him. Have I watched any Father Isaac Aurelia? Yes, I have. He's great. Governor's opening Iowa slowly, but all 4 bishops won't even allow live streams of singing because Droplets Project. Liberation theology was a Jesuit communist operation. And yes, where do you think the communist part came from? Oh, the Fatima video? It'll go live at my usual time on May 13th. If it was the person asking about their 20th wedding anniversary on May 13th, that will go. It's just a normal daily video that'll go live on May 13th, which, according to my internal calendar, is Wednesday. So my Wednesday video is a Fatima video, short of something amazing happening that requires me to push that back. Is there anything about theology? Is there anything good about theology of the body? I mean, it got people to take chastity seriously. That's never a bad thing. It got people. It reinforced some people's innate sort of Catholic faith sense for chastity. It gave them something to back it up with, even if really you only needed to go read Casti Connubii by Pius XI, I think. I have that on the channel if anybody wants it. The Unquote is something good to come out of the media. Takes a good snapshot of a lot of problems today. Fighting, binged it in a few days. Yeah, I can't endorse the show because there's a couple sex scenes between 2 married people that's just unnecessary, even if it's part of it's, and then there's just something James Martin style in that I just can't endorse. But otherwise, the best things about that show can be watched on YouTube. Let's see. Priest for Life is being endorsed. There's a Fatima movie coming out in August. Yes, I did a video on that. My video that shows the picture of Sister Lucy on the cover is about that. Highlander says in the next 2 years the rise of Antichrist. Who's Highlander? There can be only one Highlander? What is the limbo of the babies? The church traditionally sort of taught, never in a formal way, that, at least as far as I know, never in a formal way, that when a baby died, if somebody died without baptism, that's generally, if a baby died before baptism, they could be baptized. That's where they went. They never suffered there. Benedict sort of poo-pooed the idea, though. When did the Jesuits lose their way? You'd have to probably read Malachi Martin's book, The Jesuits. I actually think that book, him publishing that book, is why he got smeared by so many different people who are always like 1 degree of separation away from the Jesuits, coincidentally. Thomas Ryan, yep, that's what my video on Sister Lucy that I did last week or the week before was about. Antiquus Ordinus, I've heard that about the new pope, that it's awful. Lenny doesn't show up into the last few episodes. Yeah, and they basically turn him into like Pope Emeritus in that, apparently. That's what I've heard. If something happens amazing on the 14th, we'll hear about it on the 13th, we'll hear about it on the 14th. Well, if something really amazing happens, you'll probably hear about it before I can report on it. I mean, if something really big happens and I might be able to record something, I work that night, so I might not be able to do a second video that day, but you'd probably hear about it that day. I have put up 2 videos during weekdays before. It's just been a long time. What's my opinion on The Chosen? I haven't watched it. What I've heard is that it shows Our Lady in birth pains, which is heresy, so no. That's why I haven't watched it. Ugh. You saw a documentary in North Korea that people apparently were being fed pork, but they reported it to be human flesh, of course. Don't count on hearing about anything. Didn't the media stop the Fatima message getting out? The media wasn't the one who stopped the Fatima message getting out. That was the Vatican. They didn't release the third secret. I don't think they've. I'm kind of becoming skeptical if they released any of the third secret now. Ew, Clayton, that's just gross. About LA governor allowed for church gatherings outside, so we were blessed to celebrate Mass outside in beautiful weather. That's good. Glad you're also in a state where you can have weather that's good consistently enough to have a Mass outside. There's one parish in the Diocese of Oklahoma City that's doing like a low Mass every Sunday in the parking lot. Luke A. thinks the fall of communism was orchestrated by the communists themselves. That's probably not a bad. That's probably true, honestly. Father John Hardin, the last good Jesuit. That's why I put his essays up. I mean, I know he said some things that some people have issue with, but his essays I put up are just generally good. Malcolm Martin mentioned that the Jesuits were taken over at the top in the 60s. That's why I recommend that book. Does the church teach anything on aborted babies? Not officially, I don't think. And Ted Kelly asked, anybody seen this new show on HBO? That new Pope, it's horrible. It's the sequel to The Young Pope, which was not bad, per se. It had some not good things in it, but like anything else on HBO. But the sequel show is apparently terrible. Thomas Ryan, what languages do I speak? English and only barely. Certainly don't do Latin, even though I go to Latin Mass. Thoughts on the new Fatima movie coming out? I don't think I've even seen the trailer, other than a brief clip of it. But yeah, otherwise I kind of give my thoughts in that in my video that I did on that Fatima documentary that's coming out 2 days before the movie. What's your opinion on Francis consecrating Russian bodies? He won't do it. I don't think he's going to do it unless something enormous changes. There's a prophecy with one of the prophecies or visions of Marie Julie Jahenny was that there was a pope who was erroneous, who promoted a lot of errors, who has a radical change of heart, and at some kind of a council or at some sort of synod demands that the bishops actually start teaching the faith again, and they laugh in his face and tell him that they're not subject to him. And I think that's a reference to the consecration that'll come, but I don't know if that's going to be him. Thomas Klug, I would be very careful about any reference to, our current president and divine intervention with that. I'd just be careful with that. I see Protestants with their really cringe-inducing memes that they put up of Jesus guiding our president. This stuff makes me cringe. And again, I have a nuanced take on him. I'm not anti the guy at all. It's just, I'd just be careful with that. Father Mitch Pacwa is one of the few solid Jesuits. He is. There's a handful of good ones out there. Jody Young with the super chat. Thank you very much. Any possibility God is allowing this because of rampant sloppy Eucharistic practices and reception with mortal or serious sin? People are only more angry. It would not surprise me in the slightest. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday after we'd both gone to confession. We were sitting in the narthex of the parish and saying, the only thing when it comes to not going back to normal, the real main thing I don't want is to see long lines for Holy Communion and short lines for confession. And I'm afraid that's going to go back to normal, because at the end of the day, you shall know them by their fruits, and one of the main fruits of the Novus Ordo Mass, of the new Mass, is 30% belief in the real presence, versus 98% at the traditional Latin Mass. Norman Fouché asked about Tre Fontane. The Sensus Fidelium series on Tre Fontane is amazing. You really, really got to watch that one on Sensus Fidelium. It's so good. Thomas Keller, Q-type BS. Yeah, I'm not a QAnon guy. When that stuff started happening, I paid attention to it a little bit, and I just gave it a test based on some things they were saying, and they failed the test spectacularly. See a feeling you didn't see Our Lady having birth pains and Chosen, but they do show her wearing a do-rag like little Stephen. It adds dialogue description that's not there. The dialogue, adding dialogue in, that doesn't bother me. But there are apparently errors there, from what I hear. Let's see. Norman Fouché, are the translations complete yet? There was a priest compiling that, but can't find anything. Our Lady of Revelation. If they are done, I would be interested. The RSVC, which is the KJ, yeah. Teresa Baker Carl prophecy on Trump. There's some Protestant promoting some prophecy about Donald Trump that says that he was put in by God to end medical Moloch worship. Might be true, but I take any prophecies from Protestantism with a heaping tablespoon of salt. Thomas Hamilton, I agree generally in your take here, where you say that he's helping even if unwillingly. I have a nuanced take. I'm not anti the guy. I frankly hope he resoundingly defeats the other guy in the fall. But I don't talk secular politics on my channel for a reason. Is it okay for a Catholic to watch The Sopranos? I've seen the first season, but it's been a long time. The show was pretty new when I saw that first season. I don't remember much else in it. I take secular entertainment forms with just tell people to discern carefully. I don't come out against any form of music or movies other than, pornography, that kind of stuff. Just, be discerning. Let's see, Thomas Klugge, he has surprised you, just said much he has supported life. That was before the election that he had heard and wasn't sold on him at the time, but he understands. Paulus might have suggested the QAnon thing may be also misinformation. That could also be prophecy's an oxymoron. Yeah. What was the reference to Father Wolf's conference on UFOs? You can go to the Census Fidelium channel, use the smaller search bar, it's the one that lets you search internally in the channel, and look for St. Michael the Archangel UFO. That should be enough to find it. It's a great, great one, and I should just put it on my watch later list permanently, or just so I can bookmark it. Catholics should not watch Sopranos, according to Caroline. Again, I haven't seen it so long, I wouldn't know. Baltimore Catechism should make a return in Catholic grade schools. Yeah, I was just looking up to getting a copy of the Baltimore Catechism because I don't have one, and I didn't even realize at the time that you have to buy it in 4 volumes. Patch says it's prayer time, catch up during the week. Have a good one, Patch. Teresa Baker Carl doesn't think Trump will stop much of anything, not because she doesn't like him, but because of the times we live. That's, again, probably true. Pam Anderson Bayside Watch would be funny. Would be, as long as it didn't involve bathing suits, it'd be funny. Thanks for being generous with time with my chat. Hey, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching the channel and supporting the channel any way you can. Maybe we're even being given a chance to change. We're being morally bankrupt people. Yeah, I almost think this is kind of like what we're going through as a planet right now is maybe our last warning. I mean, not the last warning. I mean, I think people talk about, the divine, the warning, but, this might be one of the last ones. Three Cedars has been banning QAnon people. Council of Trent Catholicism. Let's see. Sounds like German bishops. Council of Trent Catechism is even better. Yeah, I've got the Catechism of Pius X, which is essentially just a rewriting of the Council of Trent's Catechism for the 20th century. I've got that recorded on the channel. What came before the LOTH? And do the prayers have to be said in Latin? What do you mean by LOTH? Yeah, I'm tired. Made any spiritual gains this lockdown? I've been able to go to confession. I count that to be a spiritual gain. Let's go back to the last part of this interview. The interview asked Cardinal Mueller, perhaps it's also for this reason that many bishops snubbed the request of the Italian faithful for an act of consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The Italian bishops snubbed them, where even the Americans, the otherwise useless U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, didn't, which in the Italian case then became an act of dedication and in the end was conducted in a negligent and fraudulent way. To which Cardinal Mueller responds, there is an underestimation of the supernatural aspect. We are immersed in the naturalist conception that comes from the Enlightenment. The church, grace, the sacraments cannot be explained according to the natural dimension. The heart of our Christian religion is the transcendent God who becomes immanence in our life. He is Christ, true man and true God through the incarnation. And then the interviewer closes by saying, it's almost as if we're resigned to chasing a world that reasons only in natural terms, and we call this realism. To which the cardinal responds, it is the ideology of pragmatism. Today, for example, the idea prevails in the church that there is a need for bishops who are only pastors, that is, pragmatic. But the bishop is minister of the word. He must reflect on the word. St. Paul and St. Peter were not fools. The fathers of the church were not only pragmatic, they reflected on the Christian faith and its implications. A good teacher of faith must be able to explain a situation like the present one without stating from faith in its supernatural sense, not with a naturalism. Once again, the two dimensions must be held together. We cannot reduce human existence to mere nature, and at the same time not to even think, as Marxists claim, that Christianity is only concerned with the afterlife. In Jesus Christ, we have the unity between the afterlife and the immanence of life. A good Christian should know how to be an excellent doctor and scientist, but that does not contradict trust in God. There is integration between faith and reason, between trust in God and competence in natural sciences. So there you go. One of the better bishops. Sometimes he's taken state problems that are problems, or he has said things that are a problem too. But LTH Kamal Haj, thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the kind words. LTH, we came before the divine office in the breviary. Thomas Keller, Cosmic Christ. The military tapped Trump 3 times to run. Need to watch the speech that got Kennedy taken out. He was talking about being run by secrets. Yeah, if somebody wants to email me, JL, email me if you can a copy of that speech that Kennedy gave. I'd really be interested in seeing that. Pray he converts to Catholicism with whatever fake earthly parody faith he believes right now. Does anybody else actually keep the president of the United States or the leader of their country, if you're not an American, in your prayers for their conversion to the faith? Do you do that? You should. Should be in your nightly prayers. Do I watch Real Crusades History Channel on YouTube? I don't, but that's because I don't watch a lot of Catholic content right now. I'm very selective these days, especially these days with all the infighting that's going on. Vatican II modernized the church by cutting off important traditions. Well, that's part of it. Greetings from the DPRK of California. Yeah. A lot of priest bishops have been bought as trusted voices. Please be. Yeah. I want to do an event to a 201 video, but I want to find a way to do it in a different way. Teresa Baker Carl says, Happy Mother's Day to my wife. Yeah, I think she's watching her Mother's Day gift, one of her Mother's Day gifts right now. She loves old 50s Westerns. So she's watching, I think, Cheyenne right now. If you don't pray for the Pope, you'll get more. Yeah, keep the Pope in your prayers. If you don't believe Francis is the Pope, keep him in your prayers anyway. We were told to pray for, our Lord told us to pray for our enemies, right? So we were supposed to be praying for Bin Laden. If you can pray for him, you can pray for almost anybody on the planet. Excuse me. Clayton Lee's a Canadian who prays for President Trump's conversion as well as Trudeau. Well, thank you. Thomas Keller, yeah, I generally agree. Father Gobi was good. Saw, Sid who prays for Francis's conversion. Yeah, I don't actually have much problems with Sedevacantists. I just don't like them, recruiting in my comments is the only thing I really don't want them to do. Pray for the tractors to convert. Yeah, imagine if the John Deere factory converted to the faith, just as a whole. That'd be pretty amazing. Looks like Norman Babbitt became a patron. I think I just saw you in the chat a minute ago, so thank you for that. Just opened my email for the first time. For those of you who might be wondering if I'm going to respond to your emails, I have, according to my inbox, 99 emails in my inbox. I've got 99 emails in my inbox, and quick responses is not something I can do right now. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. This is what happens when I have multiple windows open. Democrat bishops obeying the governors and behaving like their own lords of the manor in socialist South Jersey. John and PAC are around the Catholic water cooler ad majorem Dei gloriam. I only watch old movies and I love old westerns and Fred Astaire. There are some newer movies that I find that I find not terrible, but it's harder and harder if I watch anything new to not notice just corruption on the screen. I'm back. All right, very good. Lost audio again. Thank you, Thomas Klug. I'm glad that you like it. Yeah, I'm back. I don't know why I keep losing the audio. I actually have a better microphone. It's just I can't get my soundboard that I bought to be read by my computer, and I don't know what's wrong. I've even tried to find genres. Jody Young says she's worried about long lines for communion and short or no lines for confession, or some NO priests even off for communion after all this time away. Yeah. What am I doing there, Anthony? Nothing. I'm not doing anything, and I just keep, for some reason, I have to unplug my mic and plug it back in. Are Catholics being anointed before death while in hospital? Is this allowed? It depends. Some bishops have banned those all the sacraments. It's just astonishing. And Lamberger, most people are so disgusted with the way the world is going that there is a resurgence of Christian faith. Yes, and we should pray that they find their way home, that they cross the Tiber. Yeah, Thomas Hamilton, and the added problem with new TV is that all the best writing for new TV tends to go and be used for the most degenerate, gross cable stuff. Mel Wade, who would have thought we could lose the sacrament so easily? This is a warning. It is. I think this is the biggest warning we could receive about the state of the church. This is just how quickly our bishops, including many of the better ones, just folded. It's so disheartening. It's almost unbelievable. Oh. Dan, I should go back to doing the Prophecy of Daniel, a video on that. I've been on for almost an hour and a half. That's cool. Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing. You live in Church of the Cheap Suit. Anime is a refuge in our times and place of Netflix. Brendan Garvey, thank you for joining the channel. It is appreciated. Byron James, you live in England, and as you understand it, Catholicism has been placed on hold, and it appears it will continue. Do you have any Anglican ordinariate parishes near you by chance? You should see if they do, if they might actually have options. It's like newies are just a method of indoctrination for progressive ideas, and of course there are a few good ones too. Yeah, mostly, and and it's not simply just I'm not a fan of mainstream conservatism either, to be honest with you. I'm just not. I don't think it conserves anything, to be honest with you. It just compounds some of the problems we have, as Chesterton said. And the Secret Society speech is nuts. It's barely believable he said that, but he did. Yeah, if someone wants to send me that speech, I'll watch it. Will you redo your older videos? There's a couple that I want to do. I'm going to probably go back to some of those really early We Were Warned ones and delete them and redo them because I could do them better. I had one that I did that's on too sensitive of a topic for YouTube that I'll probably do as a BitChute one if I ever do it. It has to do with what the church teaches about the movement of peoples, we'll say. JL says what's going on now is taking back America from the Middle Kingdom. They own quite a bit of the U.S. Go back to the ranchers from Nevada. Clinton sold the land to the Middle Kingdom for uranium. Yeah, I'm aware of all that. Thomas Keller, we're talking about JFK. He gave an address about secret societies about a week or so before what happened to him happened. Valentina's, can I make a playlist of We Were Warned? I will plan to. I just need to get around to it. I'm almost like ahead now, almost too far ahead for my weekly videos that I make. So I'm for this coming week that what I should do tomorrow after I finish my Wednesday video and probably record my encyclical or whatever I do for Saturday, that I should probably just start working on that playlist. Paulus Magnus, most hilarious things about the Church of England are the dudes who went to get valid orders from the old Catholic sect in Germany. Way to just indicate how wrong your church is. Yeah. They want to get valid orders, but they decided they wanted to go and get it from a group of schismatics. I mean, if you're going to go that route, just go become whatever that goofy Western, Eastern Orthodox thing is. Brendan Garvey, you've been meaning to join for a long time. Well, thank you, Brendan. I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate the faith people show by joining. Teresa Baker Carl says, never stop praying. Just receive the answer to a prayer you've been praying for 30 years, just in time for Mother's Day. Well, congratulations, and God bless. And praise God for answering your prayers. Sometimes it just takes perseverance. Byron James, it seems that the lockdown has actually been welcomed across the religious communities. A female bishop today, yeah, I know, spoke of how perhaps Christmas may have to be looked at. Christmas meaning like we might not have Christmas this year. Does anybody really think the capitalist sector is going to let Christmas season go? Does anybody really think that? They call it Black Friday for a reason. That is when the retail outlets begin to actually turn a profit. There's no way they're going to let that happen. And if they want to preserve Christmas season, they better get on board the reopening of economies bandwagon soon, because we cannot get to 30% unemployment. You don't want to know the things that happen when things get that bad. JL, what do I think of Medjugorje? I think it's fake. It's obviously fake. It's just obvious. You know, people say, look at the fruits. Well, if you really honestly look at the fruits, you see sex trafficking there. You see like something like half people get divorced or something. Some crazy, crazy bad stuff goes on there. Can I recommend a trustworthy book for Revelations? Most of the Marie-Julie Jahenny books that are out there are like in French, I think. Not many of us talk about Marie-Julie Jahenny, and I don't know why that is. And Lemberger, your family has voiced that down the road there will be a split in our church again, like Martin Luther's followers, traditional and liberal. I hope not. Really hope not. Old Catholics are the CMRI? I don't think they are. What's the deal between His Excellency Vigano and His Eminence Cardinal Sarah? See me tomorrow. I have my video for tomorrow is available, and because you joined the channel, go click on the community section. I put that video up early because I forgot to give the members of the channel early access to my weekend videos like I always do. And I forgot to do that for them this week. So go click on the member section if you want to see that. You'll see the access to that video is already available for the members of the channel. And all of Vigano's letters and the things Cardinal Sarah said are in that one video. So you can actually hear all their things. And in short, I'm not sure what to make of it. There's a lot going on with all that I do wonder if Cardinal Sarah's trying to play it safe politically, with ecclesial politics. I wonder if Vigano's just kind of lost a plot a little bit. I don't know. So I don't know what to think. But I put it all up there so you can have it all in one place. Have I ever heard of Alexander Solzhenitsyn? Yes, I have heard of him. There's one old Catholic church in the U.S. that recognizes Francis as Pope and accepts Vatican I, but they have their own hierarchy. No, they're still schismatics. I mean, if they have their own hierarchy, have they been in talks to get back into unification with the Vatican, or are they just recognizing Francis? Yeah, JL, there's a lot that goes on with Medjugorje that's really questionable. What do I think about Sedevacantis and Benevacantis? I don't have any issues with any of them. I just don't want the Sedevacantis recruiting in my comments is all. I don't agree with Sedevacantism, but I don't deny that they're Catholic. Is it possible to receive in the hand without it being an objective sacrilege? Bishops in North Dakota made it mandatory to receive in the hand. Well, they can't make it mandatory to receive in the hand. I do think it's if it's not sacrilegious, it's really close to it. Someone gave you a booklet on Marie-Julie Johanny herbs. Yeah, I need to do a video on that because she has a. I just need to figure out how to do it without getting booted. Paul's Wrath joined the channel. Well, thank you very much, Paul. That I do appreciate it. Mel Wade, yes, fake. Any spirit that appears on demand is a demon declared not of heaven twice by the local bishop. And it should have stopped there, but it didn't. And, I mean, it became a vehicle for, the charismatic movement. And a lot of people don't understand why I don't like charismatic Catholicism, but it's because its origins are in Pentecostal Protestantism. I mean, they are. If you look at the founding fathers of the charismatic Catholicism, that's where it comes from. It's so directly tied to it. In Kansas City, St. Joe, Missouri Diocese Bishop said, for 16 older, stay home, don't go to church. There's a lot of the church here. Yeah, I don't blame anybody for, anybody in the at-risk age groups from being extremely cautious right now. Early 1900s, the churches were open to pray. They were. And some churches are open to pray here. And he didn't have across-the-board banning of the Mass either. I mean, you had them in some dioceses, but not everywhere, all across the country. Where did I go to college and grad school? On the West Coast, Portland State University, secular college. I came into the church while a student there. So, you have some misgivings about Elizabeth Kindleman. Do you think her prophecies in the Flame of Love is authentic? I have never heard of her. If you want to send me an email, I'll do some research. But I've gone back and forth about doing videos, though, about people who I think are preaching errors. And I try not to take shots at other Catholic content creators. But then again, if there are people out there promoting, fake, apparitions, then probably they should be called out. You struggle with the additions made to the Hail Mary. What additions? If some mystic said that it made additions and there's a problem. Thank you for the super chat, Patricia. It is appreciated. Let's see. Is there a question tied to it? Nope. Okay. Yeah, if there's additions to the Hail Mary, I mean, do you mean because there were some additions made just organically, but that's a little different. I'm also not going to go much longer on this stream today because I'm sure my wife would like to have some time with me on on Mother's Day, and I have to figure out her dinner situation. Let's see. Go back to my headlines here. Let's go to a mainstream Catholic news source. I think NewsGuard says Catholic News Agency is actually a reputable news source. Got to really look at what it is you're doing that's keeping people from giving. And if you're losing people, go look to see what's drawing people to other parishes and make some changes. And typically what you're going to see is CBS News reported Friday that an estimated 12 to 13,000 of the 17,000 Catholic parishes in the U.S. had applied for Paycheck Protection payroll program loans from the Small Business Administration, and 9,000 so far have received them. Wow. Guidance from the SBA on eligibility for the loan states that no otherwise eligible organization will be disqualified from receiving a loan because of the religious nature, religious identity, or religious speech of the organization. Well, at least that's good. Religious organizations are eligible for the loans as long as they meet the requirements of Section 501c3 nonprofit and employ 500 or fewer people. And every Catholic parish is a quasi-independent organization. Quoting the executive director of the Diocesan Fiscal Management Conference says, the PPP isn't about the federal government assisting houses of worship or churches. It's about keeping people on payrolls, and a large segment of society in the not-for-profit world are churches and houses of worship, and they have people on payrolls too. Okay, if that's all it's about, then I don't really care that much, as long as there's not a quid pro quo going on with the government. That's where I draw the line. And then I lost my place. And whenever they wore the miraculous medal, let's see, no, Marian have a devotion where they add her virtues. Oh. The recusant Catholics in Henry VIII's England only gradually realized that their mass had become invalid. Do you see any connection with our time? I don't know. Like, I came into the church in the Novus Ordo. I had what can only be described as religious experience the first few times I received communion. I know our Lord is present in the Eucharist at the Novus Ordo Mass, but I still took my family to the traditional Latin Mass as exclusively as humanly possible for a good reason. Communist Party under Winnie the Pooh shut down the city I can't name during the biggest spending season. If he wants the same to happen in the U.S. at Christmas, his Wall Street running dogs will do it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think you're going to have... I would be shocked if Christmas season got shut down in the United States. If that happens, you're going to see a cataclysmic economic tidal wave happen that will... The country won't be recognizable. Keith Carl, can't do that. Don't know how to do that, honestly. I'm using a very rudimentary setup here. Father Groschel said if someone starts talking about their visions and interlocutors without going to the bishop for permission, he's out the door. And that's probably good. Woe to the poor souls who don't have blessed medals, scapulars, or rosaries. And then I lost my spot here. A lot of great saints have commented on the dangers of seeking emotional spiritual consolation. It's contrary to the nature of faith itself. Okay, so Brendan Garvey gives us what some edited version of the Hail Mary is from some schismatic group. First, it starts with the normal Hail Mary, and then it goes to spread the effective grace of thy flame of love over all humanity now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Ugh. There's a flame of love devotion that fits Vatican approval that adds spread the effective grace of thy flame of love over all humanity, insert between sinners and now in the Hail Mary. I'm not going to get on board anything that edits the Hail Mary. I mean, I don't even do the luminous mysteries for a reason. Oh, let's see. Elizabeth Kindleman claims Our Lady added spread the effects of grace thy flame. Well, if she's not approved by her bishop, I would say far away until the bishop approves. Do I plan to do more videos on the tech billionaire CEO? Yeah, I do plan to do more as more stories come. I might do something this week on the mystery ingredient that's going into his tracking implantation thing. Let's see. I've experienced the Novus Ordo of the St. John the Cross said not to give credence to anything other than a direct gift from God. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Paul's right. Yeah, we understand that you guys are only just describing this, not endorsing this thing. Got lost in the chat, Doctor. Got a Benedictine, but that's not what my... Let's see. Why did they add the Luminous Mysteries? Bizarre. Technically, they didn't. John Paul II always said the Luminous Mysteries were optional, just everybody treats them as their official. Just like anything else that in the post-conciliar era that we were told wasn't required, but suddenly became required. Byron James thinks that they want a cataclysmic tidal wave. The more in-state benefits means they have more control here in England. Those in benefits who breach their requirements are sanctioned. Yeah, I don't think people have really thought about the logical consequences of living on the government dole. That once your living is based entirely from the government, you are controlled by them. Got cut out for a few. Let me just make sure. Okay, I still have audio. Very good. Anybody notice that most of these bad governors are all the same party? Just throwing that one out there. And most people who've been around my channel for a while know that I refer to one party as the party of Moloch and the other party as the party of usury and war. So you can tell I don't like either of them. But I'm not dumb. I know which one is far worse. The Luminous Mysteries are based on the Gospel, but they're not part of the Psalter. The Rosary is the Psalter of Mary that she told St. Dominic, and the Psalter is a direct reference to 150 Psalms. The 153 Hail Marys you say in a full 15-decade Rosary is a direct reference to the catching of men in the gospel. You know, the fishers of men part in the gospel. It's a fine devotional by itself, but I don't do the luminous mysteries. I haven't done them in several years. On Thursdays are joyful mysteries. Thomas Scholar, well, and Albert Traficante joined. Well, thank you very much for joining the channel, Alberta. It is appreciated. Yeah, if the other party were true conservatives, I would probably never complain about them, other than like specific policy issues. But I just can't get on board the usury and war thing. I just can't do it. Yeah, 15 Mysteries contains the Psalter. That's, yeah. You know, it's a fine devotion by itself, the luminous mysteries. But I'm not going to tell you not to do it. That's up to you, really. I don't tell people what mass to go to. I just, other than, you should probably not be in a place where the priest is not celebrating the liturgy or saying the liturgy with reverence due to the incarnate, due to transubstantiation that he is an intrinsic part of. Where can you find the Baltimore office? If anybody has a link to the Baltimore office, put it in the chat. Well, I would say put it in the chat and I'll prove it, but I can't approve anything in the chat because everything in the chat is just, my control center for the chat for some reason is just not working. YouTube doesn't like me today. I do find the people who go out of the way to downvote everything I do humorous. Fun fact, I don't waste my time watching content by people I don't like. Why would I do that? The neocons let the party of Moloch pass these immoral laws, and sometimes they help them. That is the true fact. Go look at a creature calling itself Lady MAGA. Go look at that. Most masses here in Poland are Novus Ordo, but the major difference is the reverence for the Eucharist and the liturgy. The hymns used are old Polish hymns. Don't attempt to modernize like so many back in the U.S. Yeah. I think something has to do with the fact that your country went through so much turmoil during the Cold War and so much blood and sweat was shed to free that country that it's reflected in the bishops that you have. Well, thank you, Teresa. I'm going to be going here in a minute myself. Take it I'm anti-Francis. What makes you think I'm anti-anybody? I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't, If Rory O'Neill, you must be new to my channel is all I'm going to say. Someone mentioned once that we can say 1/3 of the 15. If it goes to 20 and you divide by 3, the number is 666. Yeah. And then someone says, search Liturgical Arts Journal, Baltimore office, and then hit results called An Introduction to the Baltimore Office, and there's a link in the article, the Blue 1888 Manual of Prayer. Best to say for a spiritual communion. EWTN is a spiritual communion prayer. It looks fine to me. What would you do if they refused your communion on the tongue? Well, I only go to a traditional Latin Mass parish, and the traditional Latin Mass doesn't have any room whatsoever for communion in the hand, so I don't have to worry about it. Take it that you're anti-Francis. I always find people who discover me for the first time. It always makes me laugh a little bit. All right, let's see what else. Let's see where else can we look for some fun headlines at. Ooh, I know. Let's go look up see what America Magazine is saying. How one graduating senior is choosing happiness over desolation in spite of the affliction. Amid crisis, Pope Francis prays for Europe for all mothers on Mother's Day. Oh, let's see. Pope Francis, in surprise appointment, chooses a Franciscan as Archbishop of Genoa, Italy. Prayers for the Archdiocese of Genoa, Italy, it sounds like. The U.S. is exporting the affliction to Latin America. We should instead be working with our neighbors. Right. Okay, America Magazine, as if the United States of America is purposely sending this problem to Latin America. Give me a break. This is why people hate the media. Exporting it. Give me a break. There's an excellent YouTube on the Psalter, 15 Mysteries by Senseless Fidelium. Highly recommended. I mean that in respect about the Francis thing, I'm actually subscribed to your channel. Rory, okay, sorry, maybe I misinterpreted your message. Anti-Fran, there are things he says that I absolutely love. Like, I just love how blunt he is when he talks about what it means when someone hires a, shall we say, medical expert to perform the Moloch ritual, we'll say. And he calls them hitmen. It's like he calls like hiring a hitman. I mean, where's the lie? He's not wrong. He says some amazing things. And I loved it when he first became Pope and got rid of the Bishop of Bling. I loved that too. Like, that stuff is great. I just object completely to the sustainable agenda, the Sustainable Development 2030 agenda. Object to it completely, because I know where that's going. It's not going good places. Since you say no one even reads these ridiculous Catholic magazines and newspapers, I always wonder where they're getting their funding from. Daniel Shipley, thank you for the kind words. Journalism is absolutely atrocious these days. That we are in desperate need of a better class of Catholic commentary and journalism. Look at links in Rory Chaley's blogs links. There you go. Yes, Jennifer Adams. Like, yeah, he when he talks about how the devil is real, I mean, I like that he does that. Mel Wade, I believe there have been visionaries who have seen popes in hell before, so it's happened already. I mean, we've had 266 of them. Yavo, the Bishop of Bling. Yeah, do you remember that? Like, I remember that. It was a German bishop who like built a mansion for himself, and Francis made him turn it into a homeless shelter or something. I totally approve. No problem whatsoever. Turn it into that or into a seminary. Although, I wonder if there are any good seminaries in Germany. Valentina says, remember, folks, get good, pray the rosary, don't skip leg day, get swollen both body and heart. Yeah, once I drop enough weight to bring leg day back, I will definitely not be skipping leg day. I started counting. My gym reopened Friday, not this past week, but the week before, and I went the day it reopened. I started counting calories the following Monday, which would have been last Monday, and I've already lost a few pounds, which is good, and need to lose a few more, and I'll be back to my pre-quarantine weight, and that'll be awesome. And then I'll just keep going because I need to lose a lot of weight. Thomas Keller says these mags and newspapers just write for and against each other. They have no other audience. I almost think that's true. What do I think about? I don't comment on other Catholic outlets that are supposed to be that we're all supposed to be on the same side of. Jennifer Adams, by the way, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. Clayton Lee, 3,000 California churches announced they will defy governor's order and resume service. These are Protestant congregations. They plan to open at the end of the month. Where are the Catholic bishops? I wonder, where are the Catholic bishops on this? Clayton, could you email me like a couple articles about that? I'd love to do just a riff on that this weekend, because this is an issue that gets me just so mad. Like, imagine the people who, die in a car accident during this, and they haven't been able to get to confession because their bishops shut down. I mean, I want to curse. I try not to curse, right? Unless I'm around people I know who won't get offended by it, and it's contextually okay. But, oh man, this just makes me want to curse so much. Mr. Joy, Pope Francis still has potential in your opinion? It means it's kind of a black pill, but John Paul II wasn't that different. Yeah, my friend Trad Patrick, he has compared Pope Francis to John Paul II many times. It's why I'm hesitant to do my video on Canon Hess, because if I just clipped the things he says appropriately, you'd think he was talking about Pope Francis, but he's not. He's talking about John Paul II. Dolan built himself up a upstate palatial mansion too. Yeah, although I think he's learning about what happens when you get too close to the secular leaders. P90X is fabulous for those who want to work out at home. What do I think about the 7 portals of hell here on Earth? I haven't heard of that. At least I don't think so. If you want to send me an email with a link. It might take a while for me to get back to you. I have 99. I've got 99 emails in my inbox, and responses aren't one. So I'm Irish. That's what gets my priest laid down as their life for sheep. Now he can't get to mass. So sad. All my code words are the best. Party of Moloch, party of Usury pretty much sums it up. Yeah, I mean, I at first I kind of wanted to just use the ones Chesterton came up with, but I don't think most people would get it if I just called them Hudge and Gudge. I'd have to be defining it over and over again. So, but if I say party of Moloch and party of Usury, people know what I'm talking about. You've been going. Anthony Palmer says he's been going to a pretty conservative parish and considering going to the FSSP, which is an hour away, but they're closed too. Makes me wonder if there really is a huge difference. In my experience, the priests that I've met at the FSSP have been unequivocally good priests. Even if I disagree with some things that some of them do in terms of like interchurch, like internal parish politics or whatever. And I'm not saying about any of my own priests either. Don't get me wrong. They've all been good priests. But also the diocesan priest, Novus Ordo priest down the road from me is a good priest too, so. Governor Millway added a new phase 5. You need a new governor. I'm hoping people remember this in November. Where are the Catholic bishops? Cardinal Archbishop of Newark is busy closing 10 more Catholic schools. I'm wondering how much time the Cardinal Archbishop of Newark is doing with his Italian model friend. FSSP is better, not perfect, but lots better. Yeah. Anthony, pray the rosary. My wife and I'll be praying the rosary tonight like we do every year, every night. You heard Party of Evil and Party of Stupid. Oh, there's that too. The devil hates any convert when they convert, and they will tempt you and tempt you and tempt you. I have experienced things that I knew were not like my own internal things that I am just susceptible to, that just seemed like they came out of the blue, and I knew that was something that was not for me. Does anyone still think or hope the prophecy of St. Malachi is going to happen? I do not believe the prophecy of St. Malachi. Although the prophecy of St. Malachi where it says the last pope will be a black pope. My hope is that Cardinal Sarah becomes pope just so that I can watch Protestants who believe it lose their minds because they take black to mean the 20th century meaning of a black pope, which would be a pope who's from Africa, as opposed to the literary meaning of a black pope, which would mean an evil person. Have I heard of the prophecy in the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City? No, I have not. If you want to email me, let me know. Happy Mother's Day, Liz Biz wishes everyone, and happy Mother's Day to you too, Liz the Biz. Speaking of that, I'm going to end this live stream here just because it is Mother's Day, and I should spend some time with my wife. So, anyway, thank you for joining, everyone, and I appreciate the time you spent